Hello, everybody, and welcome to my second video of my thought video. Of yeah, so my last thought episode that I did was to talk about the teaser trailer for Godzilla -1, and that I have made like a few months ago. Yeah, so today's thought episode, I'll be talking about like what are my thoughts about one of my favorite Godzilla films of all time from the Shona era. I'll be talking about Ebirah Horror of the Deep, also known in the US title Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. That and it's true, it really is one of my favorite Godzilla films of all time from the Shona era. And and I know that I already did a podcast episode about the film with my kaiju brother, Goji Fan 1998, that we made back in last year. Yeah, can't believe it's been a year already. But if you want to check that episode out, click on the link in the description down below. And I also did. Yeah, I also I was in an episode with Monster Island Film Vault. That is Nathan's channel. And I did an episode with him about the film. If you want to check that episode out too, clicking on the link down below. So in this one, I'll just talk about one of my thoughts about this film and why did I love this film so much. And once again, this is a short podcast episode and a thought video. So I just want to give some of my thoughts about the film and why I like it. The reason it's one of my favorite Godzilla films of all time is because, to be honestly, like back then before I saw this film, I just sometimes I just love tropical islands. They're just it's like a jungle in the middle of the ocean. And yeah, it's just I just like tropical islands a lot. Like, I mean, I've been to a lot of islands in the Caribbeans and like St. Martin and other Caribbean islands that I went on a cruise back then at the Royal Caribbean. Yes, and but before that, I mean, I did I did watch my first tropical island Godzilla film before Ebirah, called Son of Godzilla. That was actually my first Godzilla tropical island film I watched. But Ebirah Horde of Deep and is my second Godzilla island film. It, as I remember watching this film like for the first time back in somewhere in the beginning of 2006. I remember I got the TriStar DVD version of it that I got from Santa like a few years ago. I mean, that was back in 2005. And yeah, I remember I got this film and yeah, from Christmas, and I didn't watch it that much back then. And but then later, like I think 2 years after, I'm starting to watch it more. And I remember after I watched it for the first time in a few years, I started to watch it over and over and over and over again, like day and day after. And I just can't stop like watching this film back then, like growing up as a kid. And I'll be given more reason I love this film so much because yes, I just love the plot and all the underwater monster fights. And they just yeah, I just love those scenes and the plot. And because I also like the underwater fights, like Godzilla fights Ebirah underwater. It's like one of the most amazing effects. I mean they did use like they did use like a glass a glass ceiling full of water and make them like a more like a water effect that shines on the monsters. They're not like really underwater. It's just they're just filming it, and but I didn't think there's some scenes they did film it really underwater with suits it and yeah, and they yes, and I'll talk about why I like the plot. I mean, because I know that the characters like Y- Yata and Rota, because the two brothers, and then Rota was trying to find his brother who was like lost in the ocean and in the South Seas, and he's just trying to he's trying to get himself a bow to find his brother, and he met up with a group of people, and they started to work as a team. They met this robber who was in the yacht boat, but and then later they found out he's like a robber, and then yeah. But I didn't think some of those characters, I don't see him as like a thief or something. I mean, we don't. I mean, we do notice we do know that he is a robber because because of the black briefcase is full of money in them during the hurricane where is it where Ebirah first appeared with his claw and that, and then they stuck on a tropical island and they trying to figure out how to survive. This kind of gives like a little castaway moment. I mean, believe me, I just love I also love these castaway island movies and and yeah, they try to work together to survive, and they find out they found the red bamboo's base when they kidnap all the Infant Island natives who from Infant Island, and including my favorite character who's played by Kazumi and uh, who played Dio, and they decided to help her out, and they trying to free her people, and they're trying to get they're trying to figure out how to get Mothra to help them by by praying for Mothra, and I mean, of course it is because she's been sleeping during the whole movie and all that, and so does Godzilla. Because they found Godzilla and sleeping in a cave, and I'm always curious, like it's like this film came out right after the year after Invasion of Astro Monsters came out, and I'm always curious, like because the end of the Invasion of Astro Monster, they just Godzilla, Rodan, and King Ghidorah tremble in the ocean, and then King Ghidorah escapes, and then Rodan and Godzilla are still underwater, and but in this but in Ebirah, when they found Godzilla in the cave, I'm always curious, like, how did Godzilla get into the cave? There's like no big hole on the island where Godzilla just digs underground and is just hide in the cave, and but who knows? And I mean, like, and I also love the characters who are trying to figure out the secrets of the secret of the Rambaboo. They're trying to find some like evidence or clues in their base, and this kind of gives a little Scooby Doo kind of moment and all that, and of course I like the funny moments too with the characters because it is like yeah. Sometimes I forget the cast's names and yeah, like Yashimo, Rota, and Yata, and all those. I mean, they're such great characters. I just love these characters so much. I just like they're always trying to help the infant islanders kidnapped by the soldiers, and yeah, this is kind of like the free the slave kind of film. I mean, it kind of makes me think of what really happened back in the 14th or 18th century where they, it's like they, when there's some good people out there, like the presidents, or they freed the slaves. That kind of makes me think of that, if you know what I mean. And also, like, before I saw this film, I mean, right after I saw the film, it kind of makes me think of this one classic film before this. Uh, it's called Pardon My Saran. That film is kind of similar to this film, but before that Pardon My Saran is starring Abbott Costello. Yeah, this this film is kind of almost similar to Ebirah, but it's different plot. But that film also took place on an island too, with all the islanders. And this one doesn't have that much soldier but they just had some villains in there who are, just looking for some trouble and trying to find some diamonds or on an island. And Abacus on a boat or a yacht with the two couples, and then they landed on a tropical island where the natives live. And it kind of does sound similar to that film. And I know that I've been talking to I know in my podcast episode that I made last year that I did mention that this film was going to be a Kong film. And yeah, and imagine if King Kong was really in this film. But you know that, yeah, yeah, before this, To that Toho decided to make this film as a Kong film, but Kong fights Ebirah and has Mothra in it. And if they did add King Kong, this would be King Kong's first film joined with Mothra. But sadly, it never happened because of the company Riken Bass, who's also made King Kong Escapes from 1967 film King Kong Escapes. And yeah, and they decided to throw in Godzilla in it because they thought that Godzilla in this film kind of makes more sense. Because I already know that this film was going to be Kong. But it's not really not, because that one scene of Godzilla is on a hilltop and scared off the ram bamboo away, and he just stares at Dio, and it's kind of being attracted by yeah yeah by like a little human being. And he just stares at her and gives her a little like a Kong moment. But in this film, that but he never picks up Dio, just like Kong did. Instead he just stares at her. If Godzilla did pick her up, I mean, it kind of would be a little weird and moment. Whatever you guys want to think. I would definitely like to see that. And yeah, like so I so I'll yeah. So yeah, this is like one of my favorite films. And this is why like I love this film so much. It's just tropical island adventures, discover the bad guys base, and trying to free the slaves, and then and of course the monster battles too. And yeah, this is like one of my favorite ones. Including the ending, and then the explosion, and then the island disappeared, and they went to Ifan Island and all that. And also what I also like about this film is the music too. Is made by the same guy who did the music for Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla. And yeah, yeah, and I love the music score too. And he also did the music for Son of Godzilla, I think. But yeah, let me know what other films that he did the music for. Please let me know in the comments below. So so yeah, so that's all I have to say right now about this film, Ebirah Horror of the Deep, aka Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. And so yeah, it's like one of my favorite ones of all time. And I know I've been growing up watching the TriStar English dub cut version, and I know yeah, right after I watched the international English dub of it, I did watch the television dub version that was on the video treasure video cassette version. I did watch it online. And that dub version, it was okay. Yeah, but I prefer the international English dub version. And of course, I did watch the original Japanese print version on the Criterion, and yeah, and I like. So yeah, this is all I had to say for right now. And once again, this film is one of my favorite Godzilla films of all time from the Shona era, and that's all I have to say for right now, folks. And is and please to like and subscribe to my channel for more kaiju podcast episodes coming soon, and more unboxing and more thoughts videos coming soon. And I say it in Japanese, sayonara.